in general, I firmly believe materials engineering is really the core and the basis for almost every engineering discipline. You can hardly find any engineering product that you can develop that does not require an understanding and expertise, of course, in materials. And in fact, the field is becoming even more important as new technologies develop and new challenges faces engineering.
So I joined up in 1946 and developed a welding program for the Ag and the Engineering School. And that went along for a number of years, and then Sputnik, the Russians shut up Sputnik. And so that created a shock wave through the engineering schools all over the country. And so one day, the Dean of Engineering, Harold Hayes, called me in and said, we want to start a metallurgical engineering department. And I said, well, how do I fit into that? We said, well, you're going to do it, just like that, no question. Can you do it? Will you do it? No, do it. Well, I said, there's no faculty, there's no labs, there's no funds. What do we do? Well, that's up to you. So it was a bootstrap operation. Started out in a weld shop over there. We developed a pretty good program going over there, and then we were given a lab down across from Engineering West down there, and they have since torn the building down, but we had to start with some labs there and offices down there.
Some of the other big stuff that happened was our first computer in the department. Everybody was afraid of it. Nobody touched it for about, it was months. It just kind of sat over on a desk, but eventually the computers were on everybody's desk, and if somebody had told me that everybody was going to have a computer on their desk, I never would have believed them.
We were interested in the metals end of the business, and plastics and all of these things you do were on the horizon, but we're not ready at this time.
You know, when we look at what values our department has now and what it has had over its whole existence for the past 50 years, they've been fairly consistent. Hands-on learning, project-based learning, and above all, a focus on the individual student and the value of the individual student. That's really important to who we are.
Every single time there's been a decision to be made in this department, the first question we always ask ourselves is, does it benefit the students?
I think we really care about the students, and I think that comes through in all our different quirky ways, and I have my way, and other faculty have their ways. And I think we really care about what's happening to them. And
it's really a very community-like, in a community that is supportive and interested in learning new things. So that's a rare quality I find in organizations, is to have people be so alive, you know.
All of the freshmen are in one class, so I know every single freshman personally. So it's really friendly and really on the same level. Even the teachers are like, okay, we're not going to be your teachers. We're going to lead you, but we're not going to actually, tell you exactly what to do.
The materials engineering department is the epitome of learn by doing. There's nothing we don't do that we don't actually get our hands on and do. From learning about diffusion, we did a project on carburization and the effects of that. And learning about MEMS devices, we actually go into the microfabrication lab and build them.
You can take a lot of classes and go to lectures and just learn all kinds of fundamental principles and equations and information. But if you don't really see, well, what do I do with this? How do I use this to really do something practical in terms of an engineering problem? I don't think any of us tend to remember that very well. So we've tried to focus hard on giving students a context for what they're learning and how it's useful in being valuable members of society, as well as solving technical problems.
So I'm currently interested in LEDs,
transistors, solar cells, anything that does anything with microfabrication in industry. And the Cal Poly clean room has enabled students like myself to become pretty familiar with the processing and testing methods that are pretty common in industry today.
The Cal Poly MATE department definitely practices the learn by doing philosophy every single quarter. I'm pretty sure there has yet to be a quarter where I have not worked on some kind of project. So, for example, freshman year was going through the entire process of solar water heaters and service learning projects.
First quarter, right out of the gate, we worked in teams. We designed, built, and tested solar-powered water heaters. It was a huge mess. We didn't know how to work with tools or anything. We ended up epoxying stuff a whole bunch, try to caulk all the seals that were leaking everywhere. It was good, learned a lot, it was fun.
I've talked to people at other colleges and other engineering programs, and the fact that we actually got to do something and actually tested it and made the whole design process was amazing. We had our professors guide us on how to do it, but at the end of the day, it was still us designing it and us putting it together and us testing it.
They make us like project managers pretty much. So like for the solar water heater project, every week they'll kind of just check in, but they don't really give us a timeline. They expect us to kind of do things on our own. I think that's a lot more like the way it is in the real world.
Why not let the students learn for themselves? We set up the challenge for them. We throw them into it without sufficient knowledge, and along the way, they have to identify what knowledge they need and seek it out on their own.
Our freshman year is basically devoted to a service learning project within the community. I chose Growing Grounds. It's a plant nursery here in San Luis Obispo that helps adults with mental illness get back into the workforce through a means of interacting with one another as well as just the community. And we decided as a team that Growing Grounds can benefit from a shade structure. There was a couple steps along the way where we had to be guided in different directions. That's what teachers are there for, but they're very helpful along the way. We came up with some rough designs and then again, like the solar water heater project, put it into a drafting program. We came up with the final way to build it as well as bill of materials and final design. Here you can see a picture of us in front of it with the finished product and the team that made it all come together.
I just see the confidence build in what they do, and that the experiments they do in their senior project, they're really starting to be pretty sure of themselves and what they do.
I just had a group of visitors today from Lawrence Livermore Laboratory. This is a laboratory that recruits basically students from top-notch universities like MIT, Berkeley, and so on. They were telling me that the top 5 schools that they recruit from are MIT, Stanford, Berkeley, Caltech, and Cal Poly. So we're in a very good group, if you think of it. And all of that, frankly, is because of our education, hands-on, learn by doing education.
You know, my fantasy vision is that we would have a place brimming with excitement and activity of the most diverse variety. I don't know exactly what that's going to look like. And in some weird ways, I don't want to know what that's going to look like because that ruins the fun of creating. I like surprises. I like working towards something that I don't know the outcome of. I mean, after all, I'm a teacher. I work every day on something. I never find out what happened. I help students learn something. They go off and live their lives. I never find out how it turns out. I do that every day. So every day I work to promote this department. And frankly, I don't know what's going to happen. And I don't care. That's great because it's exciting. The opportunities are, in my sense, really endless.
In one word, describe the MATE department here at Cal Poly.
Family.
Resilient. We are definitely resilient.
I'm gonna go with interactive.
Yeah, that's always a hard one in one word, but as I thought about it, the word that I guess just popped into my head today was dynamic.
So in one word, how would you
Awesome.
describe? Awesome.
Awesome.
The one word that comes most to mind is special. It is something special.
The MATE department at Cal Poly, can we describe the Cheers, the TV show? Where everybody knows your name.